Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's tutorial, I'll be showing you guys how to get that cake-free, flawless looking foundation. So if you are interested in how I went from this to this, and also avoided that whole cake-free mess, then just keep watching. The first thing that I highly recommend you do to avoid the cake face is start with your skin. You definitely want to exfoliate before you put on foundation, especially if you have dry skin. I know I have dry skin, and trust me, I have been there. I've covered up the dry skin, I've covered up the dry patches, the flakes. It's not cute under foundation, and that is like my #1 cause of cake face for me personally. So definitely just do it. Exfoliate no matter what type your skin is. I promise it will help you out so much. The one I'm using is this Pores Be Pure Baking Soda by Biore. It's a really nice exfoliator. You can get it anywhere. I will have it linked down below. But I did this off screen, or off camera, screen for you. But let's move on. So step number 2 is to moisturize your skin. No matter what type your skin is, you definitely need to moisturize, or at least make it part of your daily routine. I have dry skin, so I moisturize every time I'm done exfoliating, and I've been using this for a week so far, and I really like it. This is the Garnier Skin Active Moisture Rescue Refreshing Gel Cream. It's pink, it just looks like this, but it is a really nice light on the skin gel moisturizer. The only thing though is if you use this, from experience, you really only need like a little fingerful for your whole face. A little bit goes a long way, and when it dries on your skin, it's like you can feel it on your skin, if that makes sense. If you put too much on. If you put on the right amount, it's just a nice refresher. So I'm going to go ahead and put that where I get dry, and I'm gonna let that soak on in. Once you get it kind of dispersed to the areas that you want it dispersed to, especially if you have dry skin, you're gonna want to kind of like pat in your moisturizer. That way you don't micro exfoliate and kind of move any other skin cells around on your face. Because, like I said, I've been there. If you have flakes under your foundation, it's just... So now that my moisturizer is all set into my face, I'm going to go ahead and start priming. The primer that I'm going to use first is this NYX Pore Filler. I like to use 2 primers because I'm a little bit extra, but what I like to do with this is just kind of like pack this into my nose and T-zone area. I find that really helps to smooth out my skin. After I use that pore filler, I like to go in with something that will nourish my skin and give it a little bit of extra hydration, even underneath my foundation. So what I like to use recently, especially in the winter, is the Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Face Base. Again, a little bit of this just goes a long way, so make sure you don't pick up too much. But I know, I like to use 2 primers. It's a little silly, but I really put that like kind of down here, like right here. I have a dry patch, so I really like to go over my dry patches with that and just like press it into my skin. The foundation I'm using today, I'm super excited about. This is one of my favorite foundations, just because I really prefer liquid foundations, like liquid. And this is the Bare Minerals Bare Skin Pure Brightening Serum Foundation. Kind of a mouthful, but it is a really nice foundation. The only thing is you just kind of want to make sure you give it a little shake before you use it. And as you can see, I am self-tanned here, so my neck and my chest, my whole body is a different color than my face, but that is okay. So what I like to do with this foundation is I like to start out with a buffing brush. This one right here is just from Real Techniques, and what I like to do is just go in with only like, oh, that was a drop. I like to start with just a couple drops on the brush, and then I'll buff it into my face that way. Whereas I used to just kind of go in with my fingers, but I find with this foundation, personally, it works better with a brush. So I'm just going to kind of start to splot that all over my face, and I'm going to work on pressing it into my skin to buff it in. So when I get to my neck and jawline area, I like to use a little bit more circular motions just to make sure that everything is a nice blend. I don't want any harsh lines, especially not on my neck or jawline. But everything else I like to just plot into my skin. Press it on in, sister. The other thing that's really helpful about just doing like a couple of dots of foundation on your brush at one time is that this is like, I think, a $30 foundation. So where I used to just pour foundations on my hand, I would waste a little bit of it like every time I did my makeup. So this prevents waste. You won't be wasting a drop. Something else I do to avoid cakey foundation is in areas where I know I will be applying concealer, like down the bridge of my nose and my chin and my forehead, I don't really pack on the foundation there. I tend to focus my foundation like on my cheeks and the outermost perimeters of my face, just because I know I will be highlighting. And of course, if you're adding layer upon layer upon layer of makeup, it's gonna look a little bit more cakey. So like under my eyes, I just kind of use whatever is left to cover that up. Same with like my nose and my forehead. So that's why that's happening. And then my eyelids, I normally don't touch at all with foundation unless like I'm trying a new concealer, because I use concealer to cover up the veins on my lids and just to brighten my eye overall. So foundation on the eyelids is usually a no-go for me. One thing that will help you out a ton to avoid cakey foundation is to use a beauty sponge. This one is from Real Techniques, and you just want to go around and lightly pounce your face and pick up any extra foundation. Another thing that I would like to point out just before I move on is if you do have dry skin like myself, I would highly recommend that you try out a foundation, not necessarily one like this, but one that is more liquid, like water-like. That's just going to help kind of like not look so cakey on your skin. When I use a matte, thicker consistency foundation, that's when my skin looks really, really cakey. So if you do have dry skin, try to avoid that. Try to use something that is like water when you pour it on your hand or onto your brush. As you guys saw, this just drips right onto my brush and you can hear it. Like this is a really liquidy foundation and it makes my skin look great. This is like my favorite foundation. Bare skin. And again, as always, everything that I use will be linked down below. So now we can move on to concealer to highlight and conceal. Not that I really have too much to conceal, but I like to highlight. So I am using the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer. I don't know why I didn't jump on this party wagon like 10 months ago or whenever it came out. I don't even know. But this is like an amazing concealer, you guys. This is a really hydrating, lightweight, not even creamy, almost like a liquid concealer. It's really nice. You'll see, it just glides onto the skin, super smooth. But this one is in the shade Light Sand, and I personally have been just using a brush to kind of take some concealer off the top because my foundation is so much darker than this concealer. I don't want to, you know, like contaminate, mess up the color of the concealer. So I'm just going to go ahead and draw some of that on right underneath my eye. And then with whatever is left, I'm just going to pat that onto my eyelid. So once that's done, I like to go in with a sponge and just really lightly start out here like on my cheekbone and blend that together. And then I go in towards my eye. Once you have that concealer blended in, you have to set it. I am using a loose translucent powder from Flower Beauty. This one, I will warn you, do not use it with a damp sponge. You need to apply it with a dry brush, especially if you have dry skin, because if you apply it a lot with a damp sponge, that like it'll just like magnify your dry spots. It's not good. I tried it. But I do find with a nice light hand and a dry brush, it really just like sinks into your pores so nicely. It makes your skin look real velvety smooth. So it's great. So I like to use this to set my concealer, and again, everything that I'm talking about is linked below. And then I also go ahead and put that on my eye as well. It's really, really, really important to make sure that you are like pressing the brush into your skin. That way any pores that are left uncovered will be filled in that way, and also you're not disturbing or moving around the concealer or foundation that you used prior to setting this. So just make sure you're pushing in like this. And then with whatever's left, I'll just kind of go around my face and press in. This is just because sometimes down here I touch my face a lot, so my jaw makeup will wear off quite a bit, you know. Another tip I have to avoid cake face is to go over where you set your concealer with powder with a damp sponge. This is just going to pick up any excess product and really melt the powder into your skin. Now that my foundation and concealer is on and set and ready to go for the rest of the day, I'm going to finish off my face and show you guys how I make that look really natural and make it look like it's my skin and not cakey at all. And just so everyone knows, you can totally use matte products. This works the same for matte products. But I like to be really, really glowy this time of the year, so I am using the Sweet Peach Glow palette. It comes with a bronzer, a blush, and a highlight. It's really, really pretty, but I'm going to be using all three of these to finish off my face. So I'm starting off with the bronzer, and I'm just going to pick that up on a really big, fluffy brush. Tap off the excess. The excess, not the excess. Don't know what I'm trying to tell you guys. Tap off the excess, and you are just going to kind of start to really, really lightly just dust that onto your skin. You can pat a little bit more at the perimeter, like at your hairline, just to give a little bit more depth. Maybe you want a little bit more darkness right out here. I'm not going to be doing any crazy contouring or anything like that today. I'm just going in bronzer. So I'm going to build that up to the intensity that I want it to be. Next, I'm picking up that blush shade in the palette, and I'm using more of like an angled brush, and I'm just going to kind of like start right here and just lightly pounce that onto my cheeks. I'm going to bring that up the side. I like to go, not crazy, but I like my blush to look really, really natural looking. So everywhere that I'm normally usually a little bit red, I like to put a little blush there. And then with the excess, I like to put a little bit on my forehead. I know that sounds kind of silly, but I think it really, really ties the look in together. I don't know. I think it looks nice. And I like to go in with a little bit of it on my chin. For the highlight shade, I'm using a Morphe E61 brush, and I'm just going to go ahead and really brush that onto the high points of my cheekbones. I'm going to bring it down a little bit further, kind of like down to here, because I'm going crazy recently. I'm also going to bring that up my temples and right above my brow. For my nose, I like to do just a dot right on the ball of it, and then I'll start like in the middle and kind of bring it up. So the final step for the face, at least, is just to set your face. Now that I have dry skin and I like to be glowy and dewy, I definitely set my face. I'm routinely, I've been setting my face for like the last week, and it's really been helping me out. So this is the NYX Dewy Finish Face Spray, Setting Spray, Finishing Spray, and I'm just going to drown myself in it. So once that's on, you're going to take your sponge and press that in. Alright guys, so this is the finished look. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. As you can see, it is super easy to get flawless looking cake-free skin. So if you enjoyed this tutorial, please give me a big thumbs up and subscribe before you leave. I would really, really appreciate it. But yeah, so that's really all I have. Everything that is on my face currently right now will be listed down below in the description box, so make sure you check that out if you have any questions. And that is all. So again, don't forget to like and subscribe before you leave, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys!